A slice of pizza. That is what Jerry Williams stole. His sentence? Life in prison without parole. This is the three strikes law, and it changed American justice forever. 1994. Los Angeles. Jerry Dewayne Williams walked into a restaurant and grabbed a slice of pizza from a child's plate. Security detained him. Police arrived. And because of two prior convictions from years earlier, prosecutors charged him under California's brand new three strikes law. The mandatory sentence? 25 years to life. For pizza. But here is what nobody tells you about this case. The law that put Jerry away was designed to stop violent predators. So how did it end up imprisoning people for the most minor offenses imaginable? The answer reveals everything broken about mandatory sentencing. And the consequences are still affecting millions of Americans today. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to 1993. Polly Klaas. 12 years old. Kidnapped from her own bedroom during a slumber party in Petaluma, California. Her killer? A repeat violent offender who should have been in prison. The public was furious. If you think that outrage sounds justified, you are right. It was. Within months, California voters passed Proposition 184 with 72% approval. The three strikes law. The idea was simple. 3 felony convictions, and you are done. Life in prison. No exceptions. But here is where it gets complicated. The law did not distinguish between violent felonies and non-violent ones. Steal a car. Strike 1. Write a bad check. Strike 2. Take that pizza. Game over. Now let me put this in perspective. Imagine you are a prosecutor in California in 1995. A man with 2 prior felonies gets arrested for shoplifting batteries worth $3. Under 3 strikes, you can charge him with a 3rd strike. You have the power to send this man away for life. Not the judge. You. Prosecutors became the most powerful people in the courtroom. And many of them used that power aggressively. By 2000, California's prison population had exploded by 50,000 inmates. The cost? Billions of taxpayer dollars. And here is what should disturb you. Studies found that half of third-strike inmates were serving life sentences for nonviolent offenses. Property crimes. Drug possession. Theft. The very offenses the public thought would never trigger the law. The cases became legendary for their absurdity. Leandro Andrade. He stole 9 videotapes from 2 Kmart stores. His sentence? 2 consecutive terms of 25 years to life. 50 years minimum for videotapes. Gary Ewing stole 3 golf clubs valued at $399 each. Life imprisonment. Santos Reyes asked his cousin to take his driver's license exam because he could not read. Perjury. Life sentence. These men challenged their sentences all the way to the Supreme Court. In 2003, the justices ruled 5-4 that these punishments were not cruel and unusual. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor wrote that states have legitimate interest in incapacitating repeat offenders. But here is what the dissenting justices said. And this matters. But that Supreme Court ruling was not the end of the story. It was just the beginning of something bigger. Justice Stephen Breyer wrote a blistering dissent. He called the sentences grossly disproportionate. He compared them to what other states imposed for the same crimes. In Texas, the same theft would get you 2 years maximum. In Louisiana, 10 years. But in California? Life without parole. Same crime. Same country. Radically different outcomes based entirely on geography. And this is where I need you to pay attention. Because what happened next would take almost a decade. But it would change everything. The public that overwhelmingly supported 3 strikes in '94 began asking uncomfortable questions. Were we building a justice system, or a revenge system? 2012. 18 years after voters passed 3 strikes, California put a new proposition on the ballot. Proposition 36. This would change everything. The reform was targeted. It would require the 3rd strike to be serious or violent. No more life sentences for stealing pizza or videotapes. Existing inmates convicted of minor 3rd strikes could petition for resentencing. The opposition was fierce. Law enforcement unions spent millions warning that dangerous criminals would flood the streets. District attorneys predicted chaos. But the data told a different story. Stanford researchers analyzed early release cases. Recidivism rates for resentenced inmates? Just 2%. Compared to the general prison population 65%. The reformed offenders were actually safer than average citizens. November 6, 2012. California voters passed Proposition 36 with 69% approval. Nearly the same margin that passed 3 strikes originally. The same voters who demanded harsh punishment now demanded proportionality. Within 3 years, over 2,000 inmates had been resentenced. Average time served before release: 14 years. For nonviolent offenses, the financial savings exceeded $100 million. And here is the truth nobody in '94 wanted to hear. Justice is not the same as vengeance. A 12-year-old girl was murdered by a monster who should have been locked away. That tragedy was real. The anger was justified. But somewhere between grief and legislation, we created a system that punished desperation as harshly as predation. The pizza thief and the child killer received the same sentence. Today,